All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Like Sharon said, if you have questions along the way, just type them into the chat and then we'll come back to that at the end. So, first, I don't know, I can't make it move through. There we go. There we go. Okay, so our agenda is we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect as a parent and how kindergarten will change things for you and your family, what types of programs actually exist in our area. We'll present those to you, not just our program, and what are the difference between the different kinds of schools. What questions should you ask when you're looking for a kindergarten, and what should you be thinking about when you're choosing a program. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit about skills you should be practicing and kind of the things that we need to see in our kinders who are ready to get started. First, I will introduce myself. My name is Cassie Siebold. I'm the K-12 principal and gifted coordinator at Westgate. I've been in education for about 17 years, and currently I am an empty nester. Boo. And but I did raise two amazing children who are doing amazing things. So I'm proud of that. And the picture that you see is years ago, a few years ago when I was still teaching kindergarten.
I'm Tessa McAleer. I'm the Director of Student Services at Westgate. I've been in education for 14 years, and I am a current kindergarten mom of a kindergartner at Westgate, and that's our picture of both of our first days of school this year, but his first day of school ever.
Okay, so a little bit about why we're doing this presentation. We have a commitment to community service just as a school, and so we feel like getting information to people that will help you make these decisions and really important decisions is a community service. We do have a lot of questions about kindergarten and all of the things that we're presenting here at our future family nights. So we decided just to do a separate thing for kinder people. We have a commitment to family school options as well. We want people to have all of the information so that you can make the decision that's right for your child and for your family. It's a big decision, it's a big transition, and we think it's important for you to have all of the information before you make that decision. You and your family are definitely the priority. When you're making this decision, you really need to think about who your child is, what their needs are, what your needs are as a family, and what you want for your child to get in their first school experience. School's not really for educators, it's for families. We do what we do to meet the needs of kids and families. And only you can make the decision that's right for your family. You know what it is that your child needs best, and you know what it is that your family needs. Sometimes getting on social media and reading, Thornton Moms Group and all the things that are in there isn't the most reliable source. So we want to try to give you the most accurate information that we can. We always suggest that you tour the schools that you're interested in, and we want to support you in being able to ask the right questions so that you can make a good decision for your family.
So how will kindergarten change things? In our family, the things that have changed the most have been the time and schedule, going to bed on time and waking up early enough with enough time to get ready, to eat, to get to school by the start time. We were in a daycare and a preschool beforehand that fed kids for breakfast. And so we had to get used to like, oh, we have to pack him, or we have to like make him food, and like he has to eat before we leave, and we have to make him lunch and those kinds of things. We're still working on our leaving on time and getting to school on time, and all of those skills too. And then just the work, school, life balance, thinking about like homework, after school clubs and activities, what's the before and after school care options at the school that you're looking at, especially if it's a school that gets out, at 2:30 or 3:30, as most of the schools in our area are. And most people don't get out that early. So what does that look like? I think a big question when we were thinking about kindergarten was what's homework like at the school that we were choosing. At Westgate, we have a no homework policy unless the student was not productive during the day. But not all schools are that way. And that can change a lot of things. They're tired. It was very surprising to me the first couple weeks of school that he was coming home and just like ready for bed at 6:30, and he's not ever been a good sleeper of a kid. And so all of a sudden we were like, oh, you want to go to bed, like, and had we had homework, we probably would have had some arguments. And so we knew that that was something to look for our families. um, by the second or third week of school, we had swimming lessons. And one day he finally just was like, Mom, I just want to go home. Like, I just don't want people telling me what to do all day. And everyone is just telling me what to do. And I just want to go home. And he just like needed more downtime. He wasn't used to that schedule yet. Um, our dinner table talk is, of course, different. It's the start of that, like, how was your day discussion, where kids are like, fine. And you're like, oh, anything else you want to share? Some, of course, share more than others. Get ready for hopefully lots of talk about your kiddo's teacher. My kiddo loves his teacher and has only called me her name once. So that was fun. Instead of Mom, I got Miss Lubang. And I was like, whoa, okay. They typically love their teacher. I get to hear often about how much he loves her and all the things that she talked about throughout the day. And then other days I get, what'd you do today? And he's like, nothing, I don't know, because, 5-year-olds don't always remember. But just processing new information, their brains grow so much socially and academically. They are working so hard throughout the day. It helps me to remember that they process things at a 5 and a 6-year-old level. And so sometimes I get a really funny story about what happened during the day, and it gives me a chance to really be inquisitive and ask more questions to him about what were you doing at school, and tell me more about this thing. And just setting up that relationship for us later where, when he's that grumpy 14-year-old who doesn't want to share things, that we've hopefully set this up now where he knows that it's a safe place to share. Navigating social challenges has been a tough thing too. It's for some kids, it's their first time in this big of a setting with so many kids. And so it can be really tough to get to know so many other kids at the same time. It's a new location, it's new expectations. Just get ready to have lots of conversations about how they're feeling and something that happened during the day. Lately in kindergarten, it's who's invited to whose birthday. The best part of it is most of them don't have a birthday coming up, and yet they're still like, well, you can come to my birthday and this kid's going to come to my birthday. That's just been a big topic of conversation. My kiddo's birthday is coming up and we were like, we're not actually having a birthday party, but here he is telling all the kids, you're coming to my birthday. I'm like, are they? I don't know. That doesn't, it doesn't matter to 5-year-olds if it's real. And it can lead to some big feelings where, they might feel left out for the first time, or they might feel excited and let down when they realize, oh, I don't actually have this birthday invitation. So just these new feelings and new challenges. The first day of school I've had a lot of first days of school as a teacher, but it was different as a parent. It was hard to say, you got to say goodbye and leave. And it's hard because you don't want them to see you crying. You want to give them that confidence and give them that hug. You can be like my husband and get in the car and cry on the way out of car line. I had to go inside, so I couldn't cry and say, oh, I can't believe he's growing up so fast, but I didn't want him to see us upset when he was already a little worried too. So lots of changes as we get into kindergarten.
All right, so we're gonna talk about all of these different school options that are in our neighborhood or near our school in our district. You can go to the website on here to kind of find out what your home school is if you don't know that already. But we're also gonna talk a little bit about what a magnet is, what a charter is, homeschooling options, private school options, and private preschool. Private preschools who have kindergarten programs. All of those things exist right around us. So in Adams 12, there are several magnet schools. A magnet school is a public school that offers a specialized kind of program. It's free to go there, but they usually have some requirements for getting in, things like that. So you'll have to look into each one individually, but all of the ones that exist in Adams 12 right now are the K-5 Studio School, which is an art sort of based school, and then the K-8 STEM Launch, K-8 STEM Lab, and then K-8 Holstrom is a gifted program. We are a charter school. Charter schools are public schools that are either run by a district or are run by CSI or the Charter School Institute. We are a charter of Adams 12. Charters are free. They're still public schools. They often have sort of a specialization as well and do things a little bit differently than the district. We are K-12 gifted ed for the whole child, and we have an early college model for our high school. Prospect Ridge is another charter. They are K-12 and they are a core knowledge school. Stargate School is K-12 gifted education, and New America School is for high school only. It's an alternative high school. Those are the only 4 charters in Adams 12, but nearby there's also the Pinnacle, the Academy and Global Village. They are all CSI run, and Global Village is a dual language school. So that's a cool model that they have. Some other options, of course, if you decided that you just wanted to keep them at school and that works best for your schedule, there are some online options where you can do Adams 12 5-star online, and then there are several other online schools, and it doesn't really matter the location because you're doing it online. Some of them have hybrid options. Home-based learning is, homeschooling. You would have to file a letter of intent to say that you're going to do that, and then there's some reporting to the state that has to happen and things like that if you decide to homeschool. There's also a lot of homeschool groups and meetups so that you can sort of share a little bit of the load with some other families who are homeschooling. So that's always an option if that's what works best for your child or your family. Private schools are typically tuition based. So a lot of them have financial aid opportunities, but there's always a tuition. Unique application and admission process for each one. So you would just have to check with each of the individual private schools. Private schools are not associated with any kind of a school district. Most religious-based schools or all religious-based schools are private schools. And then there are lots of independent private schools as well. Montessori schools, Primrose, the Goddard, Summit Classical, and Dawson School are some that are in the vicinity around us. This is just some important information that you are going to want to know about school option dates. Neighborhood schools, you register through Infinite Campus, and lottery results come out on February 13th. So that's just coming up next week for Adams 12. So you can try to choice into, several schools, and then you'll get those results on February 31st. If you look at the bottom of this screen here, that Adams 12 choice dates for applications, the first one already passed it was January 31st, and that's when the lottery comes out on February 13th. There is a second round that's due by March 31st if you want to try to choice into a different school in Adams 12. And then the last round opens in April and ends in August, around the time that school starts. Magnets schools, charter schools, they're all under those same dates because we're all Adams 12. So you submit an application, you get a seat offer, then you have to accept the offer, and then you're enrolled. In a private school, it's a little bit different. You have to check each of those schools individually to find out what their application dates are and then how their seat offers and acceptances work.
So
Okay,
what
so
happens? Oh, sorry,
yep.
Catherine.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. What happens after we're accepted? Like Cassie said, you can only accept one seat in the district at a time. You've got 5 days to accept it. After you've accepted it, you should let the school know if your kiddo has an IEP or a 504 plan. That way they can be sure to prepare. And you might not hear from the school until it's closer to summer. It might even be like into July or August. That's completely normal. Teachers at the school are still finishing up the current year. And so some schools will send out like a new parent newsletter like in May or June, and some won't, and it will take a little bit of time to hear from them until they get their class lists ready and they've got all of their enrollment settled. So just know that that's really normal. It does feel really odd that you hear in February if your kid got the seat and then you don't hear again until like July and you're like, oh right, we're doing that. We're going to kindergarten.
Okay, so these are just some questions that we've sort of come up with that are, I think, good questions to ask if you are searching for a kindergarten, or even if you're searching for a new school for some older kids. Asking questions about what programs are offered in the school that serve all of the children. There's always, some unique programs that serve certain populations of students, but you want to know what programs are offered to all children in the school. What does every student get? And what is it that your school does that makes you unique? Why are we wanting to send our child to you is essentially the question. How do academics help all children grow? And how do you meet individual needs of learners? There's no child in a classroom that needs exactly the same thing as the child next to them. So it's important to know how schools are making that happen for each kid. What does school family partnership look and feel like? You want to know that you're going to be you're going to have the opportunity to be involved in your kid's school, especially if that's something that's really important to you. And you stay at home, you want to be able to volunteer. You want to know how that communication is coming to you and how involved you can be. How will your school support the social and emotional growth of children? We think that's a really important question to ask. It's a big part of kids going to school, learning the social and emotional part of just doing school and being with people is really important. So it's not just the academics that you want to ask about. And then the last thing, how will you respond if the school can't answer in a tangible way? Lots of people use sort of buzzwords, and SEL is social emotional learning, whole child. People talk about homework. They use the word STEM, but what does that actually look like in the school? Don't just tell me that you do it. Tell me how you do it. I think that's an important question to ask. This is Miss McLear's son's teacher, Miss Lubang. She works for us. And there's cute little Jack right there. These are some things that we that I think are really important. I taught kindergarten for a lot of years, and I think coming into school and not being prepped at all is really hard for kids. There are some kindergarten readiness things that we have to, that we see in children that make them more successful, so these are just some suggestions of things that you could be working on with your kiddos before they get to kindergarten. Sitting upright on the carpet for up to 10 minutes. They have carpet time in kindergarten. They all join together on the carpet, do learning things or do circles or lessons. And so it's important that they can sit up on the carpet and attune to those things. Following two-step directions is crucial. You should be able to tell them to do two things consecutively, and they should be able to hang on to that to some degree. And then practicing following three-step directions. The teachers in kindergarten are really good at making it really succinct and direct and easy for them, and would say something like cubby, cushion, carpet every day when they enter the classroom. So the student knows they need to go to their cubby, they need to grab their cushion, and then they need to go to the carpet. The less words, the better. Emerging fine motor and writing skills. That means things like having a functional pencil grip, understanding the left to right orientation of writing and reading, and being able to use scissors. Yeah, they can continue to learn some of those things and get better at them as they're practicing them in kindergarten, but having some exposure to those things before they get there is really helpful. Recognizing and writing their own name is very important. The first day that they come into kindergarten, they're going to be asked to write their name. So it's easiest if they have practiced that before that day. Emerging alphabet and number sense skills. Just talk to your kids all the time. Just be talking about the stop sign and counting things in your house. It's really easy to give them exposure to those things before they get to school. Um, they should be able to separate from a parent without getting overly upset. It's never feels good when you start to drop your kid off for kindergarten and they're just falling apart and really sobbing and having a hard time separating from you every day. It's hard for them and it's hard for you. So some practice in, them recognizing that you're going to drop them off and you're coming back and it's okay. And for them to be able to be without you for a little while. Start talking to them about managing big emotions, being able to lose a game, being able to feel sad and be okay about it, and use words to express what they need in that moment and what they're feeling. And then they should be developing early social skills. It's really hard for a student to come into kindergarten. And like Ms. McLear was talking about with, all the social skills that are going on and all the exposure to all the new people. If they've been at home, the first 5 or 6 years of their life and they really haven't had social experiences, it's a hard transition. So getting them in some social situations and practicing what that looks like and what sharing looks like and all of those things are super important to do before we get to kindergarten.
And then some other independent skills to just practice at home. Zipping up a jacket, putting on a hat and gloves if needed. Kindergarten teachers anywhere in any building are all amazing and can, get all of their coats and their jackets and everything on. But if they have an idea of how to do that by themselves, that's very helpful to the teacher. Independent toileting and wiping is really hard. It is so hard to walk past the kindergarten bathroom and a kiddo's in there and they're like, someone needs to come wipe me. And you're like, oh, buddy, like, the teachers, that's not what teachers do. That might be what mommy or daddy or grandpa does. And so that's a good thing to practice. Changing if they have an accident, that's, we're 5, we have accidents still. Car line skills, getting in and out of their car seat, buckling, unbuckling, opening and closing the car door, saying goodbye quickly. Most schools, you'll see that like hug and go sign, like it's, it's the quick, like, love you, like, have a good day. And then the cars are moving. And so it's, getting them out quickly, using safe hands and bodies. And pretty typically most teachers use language like that of like, we're going to keep our hands to ourselves. It's, pretty developmentally normal that kids don't always do that. And so just practicing that at home. Opening lunchbox and snacks, applesauce, containers, anything that you give them in a home packed lunch that they can open it themselves. And then filling up their water bottle, closing it, opening it. Again, like I said, kindergarten teachers are amazing and they'll help them with everything. But the more independent that they can do those things, the faster and the most helpful it is for the kiddo too. Eating lunch period in a lunch period with distractions. We have 30 minutes at Westgate for lunch, but some schools have as little as 20, and that's pretty fast. And 30 minutes is sometimes not enough for kids. And so if you can get them at home, like, sitting at the lunch or at the dinner table and like, we're going to all eat out of this like fun bento box today. And like, we're going to open our lunch box and practice eating that. The first time I had got into kindergarten last year to see the teacher about something else. And I was like, oh, you have to help all of these kids open their lunches. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Like, that's just a lot to get to, and it pauses them from eating. Carrying their own items, they're so little and they have to carry those giant backpacks. So their backpack, their lunchbox, their water, getting used to no more midday naps. There are still some kids who come in real tired in kinder. And so if you can start to back off of some of those naps as it gets closer to the school year starting. And then the biggest thing is just like Cassie said before, using words, how to ask for help, going to the bathroom, help with peers, help with work, and then asking someone that they're not as familiar with. That is a harder one to practice at home. They're familiar with you, but most kids that have accidents in kindergarten, it's right at the beginning of the year, and it's because they forgot where the bathroom was. And they are worried that if they ask the teacher, I don't know, they're 5. I don't know always what they're worried about, but that's a big, I think, anxiety for kids is like, I don't know what to do, and like, I'll just sit here and see what happens. So if you can get them used to using their words too.
All right, that's all that we have for you. So we would love to hear if you have questions or thoughts, and you can type them into the chat, and then uh, some of our miraculously hidden people will read them out loud for us so that we can answer some questions if you have any.
Nothing yet.
So we did such a thorough job.
Well, thank
All right.
you all so much. Yeah, thank you. If you have questions, you can email enrollment or, but we hope that this information is helpful to you. Thank you. You're just seeing a lot of, if a child is a little slower in getting out of the car, is there somewhere you can park and walk them up?
I
This
think it
was,
just
yeah,
it
go
just
ahead and
depends
answer.
on the school.
Yeah.
But most places, yes, there would be somewhere you can, park. We've got like a visitors parking spot where you're like, okay, I know it's going to take us a little bit of time. And then there are some kids that we just always ask the parents to come in, knowing like they have a hard time with transitions or getting in and out of the car is really challenging for them. And so I think you'll just have to, that would be a great question to ask when you go for a tour.
Yeah. And then one person asked, can you talk about any like twice exceptional programming at Westgate?
Well, I guess I wouldn't say that we have twice exceptional programming specifically. It's two separate needs, and so we certainly have a lot of kids that fall in that bucket that we serve. But I think we really approach it from a place of a strength-based place where we're playing into the gifted part of it, and really helping them build on their strengths. And then we're also supporting them in whatever area is their area of challenge, so that those things can, live together really well. Tessa's our director of student services, and she does all of the special education things. I work on writing 504s, so she's like the IEP person, and I'm the 504 person. And then I also do the gifted stuff. So we're working together a lot to make sure that we're supporting those kids in all of the ways that they need to be supported.
We certainly have kids that have both an ALP and an IEP and in different areas. And so sometimes their goals, they might have a math goal for their IEP, but then their ALP goal might be something about reading. And so we just design services with the family and teachers and the student in mind of how can we best support them in their needs from their IEP, and then also ensuring that they're being pushed in their classes. All of our classrooms are working on making things at a more appropriate level for everybody. And so ensuring that all kids have the way to show that they know something, and that they could do a project, or they could do a play, or they could do a poem, or they could write, a cool poster, and that they can show their knowledge in all these different ways. And so from my end, when I've got a kid that has a reading disability or a writing disability, then I'm working with the classroom teacher to make sure that the project meets their needs too.
Do you have a recording? Yes, we do. So Ms. Goforth, Rochelle Goforth, will be sending that out to everyone. And feel free to share it with other kinder friends that you know, if you think the information would be helpful to them. It's really important to us that this information get out, because sometimes parents don't find out about magnet schools or charter schools until first or second grade. And always kinder is the year that there's more seats available in every school. So absolutely, we will sending this out to all of you. Any other questions? All students require an assessment to be accepted. At Westgate, no, but at some schools, yes. So you'll have to look at the requirements for each individual school. And every school should be doing gifted assessments. Definitely in second grade. And then as they get older at Westgate, we do students who teachers are after second grade, everybody gets it in second grade. Teachers in first grade can recommend students for that assessment early. And then if new students come to us, they will take the test. They can take the test as well. Cassie, do you have any more to say about that?
We do the screeners in second grade and sixth grade. The whole class, every second grader who's not already identified, and then every sixth grader who's not already identified. But like Sharon said, anywhere along the way, I look for achievement, and I look for certain things in classrooms and students, and then I can give that test at any point in time and submit it to the district for identification. But we don't ever require that. And I actually just had an experience where the second grade screener, I identified someone and the parents were like, no, thank you. We don't want to do that. So, it's not a requirement, and it just is not always right for every family. So we do not
Rochelle,
give
this is-
priority. No.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll let her answer that. She's the enrollment person.
Sure, I'll go. So does Westgate give priority to students that live closest for enrollment? So Adams 12 does hold our charter. So our priority group for K-8 is first siblings and staff members. Then we go to in-district students, and then we go to out-of-district students. That also doesn't mean that if you live out of district, you have zero chance of getting in. Because another common question is how many people apply from in-district and how many are out of district? It changes every year. So it's not a waste of time to still submit an application and get your student's name in there. And, if we run the lottery and a seat doesn't go out the first time, we can always go in and look and see how big the wait pools are and things like that too. So, oh, how'd you do that?
I think that's it. Oh, I've heard Westgate is a smaller school. How is this so? Well, we are K-12 and we have about 550 students total. So in kindergarten, we have 3 rounds, and 18 is the sweet spot for a kindergarten teacher with students. It's a small class. And so we have about 54 students in kindergarten. And then each class, 1st through 8th, is about 50 students. We find some move, whatever. If the whole 54 move up to 1st grade, that's what happens. But we also like to keep our class size around 25. In our high school, where our kids are at Westgate and go to Front Range Community College and can earn an associate's degree, we have about 25 to 30 students per grade level. Because not all, 14-year-olds want to go to college. So we find that it's perfect for those students who are ready for a bigger challenge. And so our 8th grade class is about 50 students. And we have students who are go to neighborhood schools, schools within a school, private schools. They're very successful there. And we have students who come to our high school, as well as students from all around the district and out of district who come to our high school. So we keep it small. We're not intending to grow to 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 students like some other schools.
I just want to put
Okay.
out there before we wrap up really fast. If you haven't already attended a tour here at Westgate or been to a parent information night, you can always email me and I can send you some links, some recordings, things like that. So you can email me at enrollment@westgateschool.org.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.